Coming up on Talk is Cheap, the Prime Minister announces aliens are real, but does the media care? And top scientist has come out saying that 5% of UFOs are unexplainable. Up next, Talk is Cheap. Talk is cheap, where cheap is talk, and talk is cheap. I am Dan Hohlfeld, and with me as always,
Dusty Long.
Today we are talking about aliens, and I have a pretty big, mind-blowing video here. This is the former Canadian Prime Minister coming out saying that yes, aliens are real, we have been visited. So let's just jump right into it.
We have a long history of UFOs, and of course, there's been a lot more activity in the last few decades since we invented the atomic bomb, and they're very concerned about that and the fact that we might use it again. And because the whole cosmos is a unity,
so right
it affects
there,
not just us, but other people in the.
Why do they have to have a fucking hot co-host like that?
To draw you away from the actual
There's
thing.
two distractions in here, and you'll see more of them later. First, the fucking news anchor. She's hotter than hell, yes. Yes, everybody wants to fuck you, yes. The other problem is the B-roll footage they're showing along this guy to discredit him right away. It's some of the most obnoxious bullshit ever.
Maybe that's all they have.
Cosmos, they're very much afraid that we might be stupid enough to start using atomic weapons again, and this would be very bad for us and for them as well. I used to think there were, between 2 and 12, and Apollo astronaut Edgar Mitchell, who came to Toronto a few years ago and had dinner with us, agreed there was somewhere between 2 and 12. But the latest reports that I've been getting from various sources are that there are about 80 different species, and some of them look just like us, and they could walk down the street and you look
again with the scary B-roll footage.
Walk past one.
Here's this one I was talking to you about the other day.
What we call the Nordic blondes, and also the tall whites.
That just discredits us right away. I fucking hate that.
The United States Air Force.
What I like is how boring she looks. She's just like
able to get away with that. They had a couple of their.
She right now is seriously considering whether or not she should shit herself.
To Las Vegas
like, should I fart?
They weren't detected.
Okay.
And I have a friend.
This guy is pouring his fucking heart. This is the former Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah.
Saying aliens exist. And we got, is this anchor hot? It's like, why are we thinking this shit? And then they're showing this B-roll of this scary footage. This is total bullshit. This is a huge story, and it's just getting kind of swept under the rug.
Yeah, definitely so. And the thing of it is, like I was stating the other day was, the reporter is seriously just like, yeah, like there's no emotion, there's nothing. If you were talking about a war going on, they'd be like, oh, we got it, just pouring emotion out because I'm an anchor. She's seriously sitting there like,
which I don't understand, because this is literally the biggest thing in history ever to know that disclose aliens are visiting us. Yes, this is huge.
But they don't want us to know that. Like you said, this guy he should be hugely popular right now. But the video, the B-roll, like you said, that's hilarious. I mean, you and I could walk outside and make one of those. It's like, it's bullshit. And here they roll those clips. They roll on those clips while he's sitting there talking about it. So I mean, you're automatically, like you said, you're just like, oh, this guy is former prime minister. He has there's weight to his words, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, I'm going to show you some guy dressed up in a costume just to discredit the poor guy.
Average person's going to say, well, fuck this. This is fake. I'm not going to look into it, and that's the end of it.
And my hat's off to the great reporting done by
But I will say RT does cover a lot of more hardcore stuff than our
Or-
internal media.
And I can agree with that, but I mean, if this is the way they're going to handle these types of situations, then what the hell's the point?
Right.
Really. I mean, you can cover hard hitting shit, but then as soon as you throw in some animatronic and alien, and to discredit the poor guy, like you said, then it's bullshit.
Well, let's go ahead and finish this up. There's only 3
Yeah,
minutes
I want to
left.
see if she actually blinks or breathes at all.
She's more worried about her hair and how she looks.
She looks
saw one of the
constipated.
men walking along the street, and somebody who would recognize that they were different, and he did. So there are those kind, and then there are the short grays, as they're called, and they're the ones that you see in most of the cartoons. They're have very, very slim arms and legs, and they're very short, just a little over 5 feet, and they have a great big torso and a great big head and great big brown eyes. But they're different species, so you have to know that they're different species, and it's and know that they're all different. So, well, they don't want to tell us how to run our affairs. They have accepted the fact this is our planet, and that we have the right to run it. But they're very, very concerned. They don't think we're good stewards of our planet. We're not. We're clear cutting our forests, and we're polluting our rivers and our lakes, and we're dumping sewage in the oceans, and we're doing all sorts of things which are not what good stewards of their homes should be doing, and they don't like that, and they've made it very clear. And as a matter of fact, they have given us a warning,
How?
and this has come from more than one source.
How have they made it clear?
Well,
What have they done?
They have talked to people. One of the chaps I talked to about a month ago was interacting with them in 1974, he and his brother in Peru, and they were taken to Andromeda, teleported, and they were told what the people there think, and that we're really wrecking our planet, and in fact that something dreadful is going to happen to it if we don't smarten up and change our ways.
That lady, as an anchor, I'm sorry, I could take a shit in her seat, and my steaming pile would have more, personality than she did during that whole thing.
Right. And this is huge, and it's basically getting swept under the rug. Like, they don't even want to deal with it. This is like the biggest thing in history. But yeah, Prime Minister coming out, aliens are real.
Yeah, they're real, but
No big deal, but hey.
RT's sitting there going, yeah, we cover the hard-hitting shit like this. Jesus. And she looked annoyed. She looked annoyed at what she was like, oh my God, look at this bald-headed old man. He's just sitting there droning on. She probably had a bad relationship with her grandfather, I believe. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, even if you didn't believe it, even if one person didn't believe it, the least you could do is try to, because people out there do. I mean, you and I have to believe, and I think there's some study that said like 30% of people believe in aliens. So even if you didn't believe it as a news anchor, you would think you'd want to put some kind of effort into the deal. When she asked him those questions, when she said, "What did they do?" she was chastising him. I mean, she sounded like she was yelling, like, "Well, what did they do?" It's like a mother talking to their child.
Obviously,
Yeah.
she don't believe it, but
No, not at all. And it's sad that if we're gonna get anywhere with this type of topic, that we have to rely on these types of people to relay that information.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
So what do you have for us today?
Well, I have an anchor that was a little bit more animated. He doesn't just sit there, which is interesting. I'm really not happy with that lady, to be honest with you.
All right, UFO believers, listen up. You may well be vindicated. We are back with an out-of-this-world town square and a new book out later this week. Government officials, pilots, and scientists going on the record about their own close encounters. Michio Kaku, professor of physics at CUNY University and host of Sci-Fi Science on the Science Channel, got to read the book early, and he joins us with a review. Quite simply, Professor, do unidentified flying objects without question exist?
95% of all UFO sightings can be immediately identified as the planet Venus, weather balloons, weather anomalies, swamp gas, you
See,
name it.
stop right
we got
there.
it nailed.
So he just comes off the bat and says 95% ain't.
Ain't true. Yeah,
Ain't true.
is what he's gonna say. And I can't say that I agree or disagree because as you and I have plainly seen, we've seen a lot of this type of footage, and I'm still that skeptic. I haven't seen that mothership. I haven't seen that definitive answer. And like we talked about in the previous episodes, it's so easy to fake. You know,
Right.
it's too
Sure.
easy with CGI and all the other information we have to go out there and do these things. And people are too ambitious to go ahead and make that happen. You know, just that little bit of limelight, or can cause somebody to do some types of things. I think that maybe he's being a little overzealous with the 95%, because maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I think that's a moot point, to be honest. Whether it's 100%, 25%, or 95%, the point he's trying to get across is there's still 5% or whatever you want to believe that isn't the planet Venus, or a weather balloon or swamp gas reflecting blah, blah, blah. So I think, I knew that would probably get under your skin a little bit. I really did. But at the same time, I don't think that's the point. I think the point is what he's going to say next, which is about that 5%. So he says 5%. I think it's just more opinion for people that might believe more or less in that type of thing. But 5%. But what he says about the 5% is the more important part.
All right.
It's the 5% that give you the willies. 5% remain totally unexplained.
And you're saying to 5% unexplained to the point where they are legitimately an unidentified flying object.
And we're talking about generals. We're talking about Air Force pilots. We're talking about governors of states that claim that, hey, this is beyond our understanding of the laws of physics.
Can I have an unidentified flying object that is not necessarily from some other place?
It's possible, but we've looked at all the alternatives. These are multiple sightings by multiple modes. In other words, pilots, eyewitnesses, radar, visual sightings. These are very hard to dismiss, the handful of sightings. One over Alaska, another over Belgium, another over Iran. The handful of things that still cannot be explained defy known laws of physics.
So then, by that definition, does this confirm the existence of life on other planets, in your opinion?
I wouldn't go that far. We need alien DNA or an alien chip. That would nail it to the wall right there.
That's the problem.
We don't have that. We don't have the smoking gun. But this book is as close as you're going to get to the smoking gun. We're talking about senior military officials who were involved in the investigations of these incidents saying we are clueless.
If you were to look at those who argue, well, hang on, there's no way that they could get here from some other planet, that the technology doesn't exist, the stars are too far away, you rebut that sort of thinking with what?
Those people assume that there may be 100 years ahead of us, in which case it's impossible for them to reach us. But if they're 1,000, 1,000,000 years ahead of us, then new laws of physics begin to open up. So we have to open our mind to the possibility that they're not just a super version of us, that they could be thousands, millions of years more advanced.
Why would they not then pay us a visit in a way that is more recognizable? Go visit the White House, maybe stop out to Yellowstone.
My point of view is if you're walking on a country road in St. Anthill, do you go down to the ants and say, I bring you trinkets, I bring you beads, I give you nuclear energy, or perhaps maybe you step on a few of them? If they're that advanced, maybe they simply are not that interested in us.
All right. Listen, Professor, it is an absolute pleasure. If we have any strange sightings, at least now I know.
He says they're not that interested in us, but but then why would he think they're even coming here then?
Well,
Why would they be here if they're not interested?
And there's a lot of theories on that. There really is. Maybe they're just, to be honest, passing by, or maybe and it sounds really hard to wrap your head around, but maybe we're like a nature reserve. I mean, it's one of those things. If you take in the movie Star Trek, right? They fly around and they find these planets. Well, if the planet isn't prepared, isn't advanced enough to be visited, they don't interact. So maybe that's where we're at now. I mean, like he said, and I think that's the really important part. He said we need to start understanding that they might be 1,000,000 or 1,000 years ahead of us. Whereas I think that's what, a lot of people are disbelievers because it doesn't make sense in this day and age. And like he said, in 1,000 or 1,000,000 years, physics opens up. There's more to be learned. We're constantly learning. I mean, and that's the thing. If we stop thinking that they are us or they look like us or they're no smarter than us or just a little bit smarter than us, and start thinking that maybe these people are very, very far advanced, then, there's a lot more possibilities. And like he said, we could be considered ants to their type of where they're at in their evolution. We might be nothing more than a nature preserve for primates. I mean, come on. If they flew down here and they saw us as Neanderthal people, and then 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 4,000, 20,000, whatever it happens to be years, and we're this far, they might just be sitting back and saying, "Hey, kids, we're going to take a field trip." They're taking the kids down here to see us.
But when you say they, we can't just group them all, because we know as the last interview with the Prime Minister, he was already saying that there was 80 races discovered. So how are they all like in a galactic federation? Like,
and I wouldn't say that's very far out of the realm of possibility, to be honest with you. If you were advanced enough to travel among the stars and through the galaxy, and then you met other ones that were able to, you would either go to war or you would create a federation of some type, or like you just said. So you go ahead, you gather 50, 80, 70. And if you look at the human population on Earth, I mean, we're not just 4 or 5 different species and races. There's a huge amount of us. I mean, if you really broke it down, you say that guy's Asian, but that guy might be Filipino, he might be Korean, he might be Japanese,
Sure.
and so on and so forth. You have that same thing going on, so you could have 90 different types of aliens, and they could all be sitting in the center of our galaxy or close to, having this, huge shindig and party. And then, they fly out, and we're nowhere near there. I mean, we're still fighting over pieces of land because, I mean, how advanced is that? I mean, seriously. I mean, we walk through the forest, we walk through the jungle, and we see animals fighting. You don't jump in the middle of it to help them out. So if you saw 2 wild dogs going at it, you're not
Sure.
going to be you're going to run out there. And even if you thought that wild dog might have been advanced in some way, he's not as advanced as you. I don't go out there and I don't know, graze among the cows because I'm more advanced than them. And I don't go out there and try talking to them because I'm more advanced, so I'm able to go ahead and talk to you, but I don't speak Holstein. So there's no point in me going out to the field and be like, "Yo, what up, cow?" It's not going to do any good. Maybe it's the same way. Maybe there is a few races that came down because, like you said, there's good and bad aliens. So maybe a few have come down here. They are, working with their government or whatever it, happens to be. Not to mention, I don't think we rolled out that welcome mat. I want that smoking gun like he talked about. I want that son of a bitch to come down and shake my hand.
Here's the problem with that smoking gun. He says that they don't have the DNA evidence. Here's the problem. When you run, and I'll end up showing this down the line later, because like with the Bigfoot shit, like you'll have, 95% of it came back as unclassified of what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, that's how it is. It's like, you can't say a definitive proof that, this is an alien. It just comes back, 95% wasn't able to match anything. That's all that happens.
And it's because we don't have that bench point.
Right.
With humans, we match a human.
So you can't really ever get that proof is what I'm trying to say.
Well, they could. If they took, like, say Bigfoot, if they took everything they ever got and they started putting it all in one data bank, and then they could start finding those similarities, then we could probably
once they say Bigfoot is real, which they won't
you
do.
can't kill one in Washington State, which is hilarious because it's not real. I don't know. So
It's not real, but you can't fucking hunt
you
them.
can't fucking hunt them in Washington, folks. Don't even try. Oh, and they don't exist, so it's a fucking bullshit deal anyway.
Maybe because they don't want people getting killed and running around in suits. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of people in ghillie suits. Don't fucking shoot them. But that's just it. I honestly believe the reason I don't have my smoking gun, the reason why the alien hasn't shook my hand, hasn't tried selling me,
But
whatever
let's
else.
just say, let's just say this does happen. An alien comes down, shakes her hand.
Yeah.
You know it's real.
Yeah.
Nobody else does. Then what?
Well, then when I say shake my hand, I mean I want that ship to come down. I want it to be so broad, so widely
What if it
done.
is? What if it is for you? Like
No, I'm talking about Chicago, Washington,
way.
D.C.
Same.
Yeah. I'm talking fly into fucking Dallas, hover over the stadium for a little
See, I
bit.
really think they can't do that because it would just scare everybody.
No, because it really would. It really would. I think we need to be used to them. And like you said before, you would cause panic. You would cause these people running out. And I can't say for a fact that I wouldn't. If a big ship especially, started hovering over a certain city close by, and I'm sitting in my house, well, yeah, the guns are loaded. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, Battle of Los Angeles, great movie. They came down here to pin us all up. But that's the thing. You need them to come down, so there needs to be that ambassador type. And that would start with a message. And that's kind of what I'm, waiting to see.
Here's a little fun thought for you. Like, there's this one guy that channels an ET. Mm-hmm. He says every time they offer to meet somebody, he says they come out, they tell them where they're gonna land, they come down and do it, and he says they run away like scared little babies every fucking time.
They're reaching out to the wrong people, apparently. They need to reach out to you and I. We'll go out there. Yeah. We'll film the whole damn thing and be like, hey, this is the thing of it was filmed too. Is I think what that needs to be is you need a mass group. I think the biggest I've ever read about when it comes to abductions or people seen is like 5 or 7 people. And that's really hard to say. There's 7 guys out there that saw the alien. You need a very large group. The damn thing needs to come down and want to meet 50 or 100. And that's the idea is a message. And I think the SETI was on the right opportunity. They had a good idea going. But there'll be a message sent. I think the message might have been sent, but then, who knows what these aliens are going to do. And maybe our government is in bed with them. Who knows what any of that, conspiracy theories type stuff that I'm sure we'll get into later, what that means. But what I like about this is it just goes on to what you said previously. It's a book. It's all these people saying that these aliens do exist, that it has happened, and that they're out there. And it's out here. This is NSMNBC. This is a real on normal TV, just like the RT one that we just watched. The only difference really is that my anchor actually is animated, and yours was animatronic apparently. So that being said, these people are trying to get the information out there, and they're trying to say there are aliens. They're not saying that they're here now. Right. They may or may not be, because then you're buying into something. You kind of got to be a little open about it. But I like what he says, which is you have to open your mind. And I think that's a major problem with most of what's going on in the world today anyway. But that we're very closed-minded. We think we're at the pinnacle. We're the top of technology. We know everything. We do everything. Blah blah blah. We're very conceited. Because we think there's no one else out there. There's no one more advanced and everything and so on. And then we say, oh, well, why haven't they come down? I'll be honest, if I were to, if I was to fly by being more advanced, I would think, and look at the Earth, especially if you consider that the planet Earth is a living organism, which it is. I mean, it is a living organism. It all works together, jet streams, hot and cold, yada yada yada. It's a living organism. And then you look down and you see what we're doing to it. You wouldn't consider us advanced. I mean, you would consider us a cancer on the earth or a very bad virus. And I could see, if someone were to look that way, they might come and wipe us out.
Yeah, they can consider that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be more open-minded. We have to understand that not everything in this world, and I'd rather say that a lot of shit is not black and white. There is no right, there is no wrong. That's what's wrong with most of what, if you were to ask my honest opinion, most of what's wrong in the world today is that we think in black and white. There is no compromise anymore, no matter what. I mean, you and I, we can compromise and say, hey, this guy has a point, this guy doesn't. But the majority, the mass of this world is always fight, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm left, you're right. You're this, you're that. And that's what's wrong. And I don't think anyone's going to come visit us. I don't think I'll ever, in my lifetime, I will never have that alien swoop down, in front of us.
You really think so? Huh?
No, I really don't, because we are too.
I think it's inevitable. I think it has to, because if we don't change what we're doing and bring out these technologies that the UFOs are using to run the planet, we'll fucking, like you said, it'll be so bad.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And I think the aliens ain't gonna let that happen, really, because I think some of them have, from the research I've done, some of them have seeded us, and is basically an experiment, and they ain't gonna let their school die, you know.
Well, that is true. But then again, you know, I had a gerbil in 2nd grade and it died. So, you know.
So you're not a very good caretaker then.
Yeah, very much so, you know. So who knows, you know, maybe, you know, in the ancients, and they had interactions with the UFOs. Maybe they were putting us on the right path. And maybe that path has floundered and it's gone now. And maybe they gave up on us, you know, or maybe they don't want to interact with us because what do we have to offer the galaxy? If there's 58 or 98 species, why would they introduce us to the other 98 species if they're all living in relative, harmony? Why would they introduce us? Well, the only thing we do is go to war and fight each other over stupid shit. We haven't even made it to Mars yet.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we made it to the moon and fuck it, we're done. You know, when we have Mars out there, we have these moons around Jupiter with salt water and water, and we're sending out satellites, which is wonderful and great. But we're not making any steps forward for colonization or space stations or anything else. There's talk about energy, which was another episode we did. There was some kind of a deal to have solar arrays up in space, and that would actually beam down the energy. It would cost $40 trillion at the time, and we said no, there's no way in hell. But that one solar array would create all the energy needed in the world. Okay. And they would say, it's way too expensive. Well, that was 20, 30 years ago. And now if you look at the nation's budget, the deficit, it's half that. Or hell, it might be 40 trillion now. I really don't know since then. And we don't do these things. We're not trying to advance ourselves into space. We're only trying to advance our pocketbook. That's all we're really doing. So what do we have to offer them? If they're coming down, and not to mention we've shot a bunch of them down. Back in the 50s and shit, I don't know what the hell that is. Well, shoot a fucking gun at it and see what happens.
I heard fucking old-fashioned radar brought them down. Oh, yeah.
Really? So here they are like, hey, maybe we should stop and shake these guys' hands, and here we are start shooting guns at them. I mean, you're not going to go to the same houses try to sell, vacuums if that's what they're doing, So we haven't threw that welcome mat out. We haven't showed them that we're advanced. We haven't showed them that we're even peaceful for that matter. Why would you stop?
Right.
I think this is more of a amusement park for them. Like, hey, look at these dumb fucking monkeys.
All right. Last question. If you could get in a spaceship and leave this planet, where are you going?
Where am I going?
Yeah.
I jump on that whole let's go to Mars thing. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
one-way trip, go to Mars. Well, why not?
First thing I would do, backside of the moon, spend a day there. I'm off to Mars.
I would like to go to the backside of the moon. That would be awesome. I swear if I see those lights, though, I'm landing. Because it's probably an intergalactic bar.
God, can you fucking imagine?
Yeah. Space some cool-ass
It's
drinks
just
or something.
fucking huge up there, and they got everything.
Right, they got a mall, they got like a roller coaster and shit, they got a drop. And here we are, going to Six Flags.
Yep, here we are, got problems. We can't even fucking go to work and without bitching.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys for watching. This has been Talk is Cheap. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dan Hohlfeld.
Dustin Long.
Take care.
Have a good one.